Inside Michigan Football is presented by Meyer. Hi again, friends, and welcome to another edition of Inside Michigan Football. Well, a win is a win. Keep the main thing the main thing. They won the game 27-24 and retained the Little Brown Jug with Minnesota, but lots to work on. There is, and you got to figure out a way to put two halves together. And first half it looked like everything was working. Second half, it didn't feel like at times anything was working. It was complimentary football in the first half. As we take a look at the highlights, and we go to our first play that we're going to look at is Michigan forced a punt. We go to Jansen Vision for the Wolverines' first possession. All right, so what we're going to see here is you want to have as many playmakers on the field. We've been talking about Donovan and Khalil on the field at the same time. So here's Donovan. He's going to come in motion behind Alex Orji and Khalil. And what it does is you've got three different weapons that could run the ball in the backfield here. It's going to hold this backside. And while this run doesn't break any records, what they're doing is setting everything up, and everything that was held on the backside is simply because you have more weapons than the defense can really defend. So the Wolverines, in this drive, it looked like an intentional effort to get some passing plays involved. This felt like maybe the menu of passes that they have executed the best in practice. Yeah, and it was, hey, we want to find a way to make Alex Orji comfortable. And we can't just do it with wide receiver screens. We can't just do it with dump-offs to the running back. We're going to have to find a way to get downfield. And it felt like in the first half, especially that scripted first drive, like it was giving him every advantage. All right, here we go. Jansen Vision for a 3rd and 1 play. Yeah, 3rd and 1. And as this play starts to, I'm going to go ahead and run it down here a little bit. They've got everybody coming up, and the ball is going to eventually go right through here. And when you run blitz, this is your run blitzer. Sometimes he just simply runs right by the running back. And that's almost exactly what happens here. You get a good angle block here. You see Dom, and everybody's got everybody angled off here, but it's just holding right here, making contact on the backside. Got no angle, but just make contact so he can't get over and make a play. And now Khalil Mullins is dancing in the end zone. Finishes the run, 7-0 Michigan. Now defensively, no Will Johnson on Saturday, no Josiah Stewart on Saturday. Other guys stepped up and made some plays, like Jair Hill on a 3rd down stop, but we start to see some guys make some plays. It was great to see Jair Hill. The growth that he has had through 5 games is tremendous. Being able to cover downfield. He's been a good run supporter, but it's really the pass coverage where he's really grown. All right, let's go to Jansen Vision for a play here by one of those guys looking to step up and make a play with Josiah Stewart out, TJ Guy. Yep, TJ Guy. I'm going to circle him right there so everybody knows who we're talking about. Now, this one ends up going for 5 yards, but I want to watch see what he does to this offensive tackle here. You talk about squeezing a hole down. It's actually the wing that he comes up. Now, he makes good contact. He's going to push him back. There's a gaping hole right here. TJ Guy does a great job of narrowing that down because he pushes him right back into it. He's the one that makes the play. He's not going to get credit for it, but he's the one that makes that play. When we talk about other playmakers, how about Zeke Berry? We're just stealing the football and setting up the offense with a short field. Hey, first guy there, make sure you make the tackle. No extra yardage. Everybody else, attack the football, whether you're ripping at it, punching at it. We see it in the NFL all the time. Get there and attack the ball. And after the turnover, short field for the offense, just give the ball to the truck, Khalil Mullins, and let him do work. Michigan led it 14-0. Let's go to Jansen Vision here. Another look at the Michigan defense. Yeah, and this is where the defense gets a good stop. But here's where I want to highlight, and I've been waiting for this. We've had some times where they've taken on double teams. You've got Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant right here, and you're going to have 2 double teams right here, and they're hoping to be able to get off on the linebackers, make something happen. They do a tremendous job of taking on both double teams. You got 2 guys blocking here, 2 guys blocking here, and there is absolutely nowhere to go with the ball. Now all of a sudden you're going to see it close down from defenders coming from both sides, the Omalachi crunch, that are going to come in here and make the play. But it's all set up because of the dominance of those 2 defensive tackles. So we mentioned earlier complementary football, and that includes special teams. Keyshawn Bennett blocking a punt, and this is the way Michigan might have to try and find a way to win, is making sure that their special teams are contributing as well. Well, we've talked about flipping the field with Tommy Dolman. We've talked about field position. You want to get field position. You want to get momentum all at the same time. You block a punt. Now all of a sudden you give that ball back to your offense in an advantageous position. They were able to capitalize that after a turnover. They were able to capitalize with a touchdown after the block punt. And that touchdown coming on the pass to Tyler Morris. Let's continue here as we take a look at Rayshon Benny making a play in Jansen Vision.
So Rayshon Benny is on this side, and what I want to highlight is the fact that Ernest Hausman is right here, and we see Barham walk up all the time. What they're trying to do is create one-on-one matchups, and he's going to do enough to attract the attention of this guard. Now, instead of creating a double team, everybody's one-on-one, and all of a sudden, Rayshon Benny is going to dominate his one-on-one battle. That's all you're looking for with a little inside-out move, and you're trying to create, that's what Wink's doing, trying to create one-on-one matchups and telling his guys, go win one of those matchups.
Michigan led at 21-3 at the half. They had 4 first-half sacks, the most in the first half since they did it to Jalen Milroe in the Rose Bowl at the end of last season. Later, we'll hear from Michigan head coach Sharon Moore. Also go inside the locker room here on Inside Michigan Football.
It's good to start quick. I think that when we say quick, it's subjective. It's really, starting on our pace. Let us dictate, the terms of how we start. I think that we just got to be better at, having stamina. I guess it is, mental and physical stamina to be able to maintain throughout the whole game.
How the first half went, that's our standard of playing football, and we didn't live up to that in the second half. Made the game a lot closer than it needed to be.
Starting fast is huge for us, and I feel like this week, last week, we were able to start pretty fast and get going, and it's huge and it's great, and it has everyone hyped and the momentum going, and football is such a momentum-based game. It's huge to be able to strike first and get that first blood. But at the end of the day, it's also about sustaining it, and I feel like that's our biggest focus going into this next week.
Inside Michigan Football is brought to you by Meijer, presenting sponsor of the 2024 Michigan football season, proud sponsor of thousands of local sports teams across the Midwest. Inside Michigan Football is brought to you by University of Michigan Health. There's a difference between an answer and a Michigan answer. Visit michigananswers.com. Michigan led at 21-3 here at the Big House in their victory over Minnesota as we went to the second half. And the Wolverines, big chance early. 4th down play. Kalel Mullings spins out of this. Sharon Moore trusted in his guys, and they move the chains.
Not a surprise. At any time Michigan has needed a big play offensively, who's been the one to step up and make it happen? Kalel Mullins.
And something's happening with Alex Orji at his feet. He is starting to torture other defenses with plays like this that we've seen quarterbacks do to Michigan.
Yeah, whenever you feel like you got a quarterback wrapped up, you got him contained, all of a sudden he pops out for a first down, or it's a quarterback run, whatever it is. I mean, he is going to frustrate defenses.
Dominic Zavada from 53 yards. That is already a career record. He's played 5 games, career record, 4 50-plus yard field goals.
And that hit the net high. He was good from 60 on that one.
All right, we talked about defensive playmakers stepping up with Will Johnson and Josiah Stewart out. How about Ernest Hausman? He almost single-handedly blew up a Minnesota possession.
Yeah, whether it's, hey, I'm going to run downhill, I'm going to make a play on a running back, or I have to go out and run down a tight end, which he did against USC, or wide receiver screens. He is a guy that is a sideline-to-sideline linebacker.
So Michigan is leading this football game 24-3, and one of the better throws Alex Orji had was this crossing route to Kendrick Bell. Stepped up and fired a fastball, and this is the kind of stuff they need to try and find in their playbook.
And it's the progression that he went through. This wasn't the first read. This was a timing route. He went 1-2, and now all of a sudden, hey, I got to throw it to Kendrick Bell. Threw it to a spot and trusted his receiver to be there.
For the second week in a row, Michigan was leading in a game, and their first turnover proved to be a costly one. And he had a receiver here, just threw it a little too far inside.
Yeah, some about 8 minutes where this is where it all started. It's how costly turnovers can be. If he just throws it on the hash marks, it's a completed pass, maybe a touchdown to Colston. If he chooses to throw it to Donovan, it's probably a touchdown as well.
That led to a Minnesota touchdown. It was 24-10. And then the Wolverines give up a big punt return, and that led to a 50-second possession for Minnesota, and they got another touchdown, and all of a sudden, we got a football game here.
Yeah, turnovers lead to points. Did for Michigan in the first half. Big-time special teams lead to points. It did for Michigan in the first half. Second half, it was Minnesota.
So this was big. The Wolverines are nursing this lead, and they go on a long, time-consuming drive. They mixed it up a little bit. They had a pass in there to Colston Loveland, but most of it was on the ground. They decided to get back to what they do well.
Well, you got to trust your offensive line. You got to trust your running backs. One, that they're going to hold on to the football, but they're also going to gain positive yardage.
Okay, so here was a play a Khalil Mullings run that would have set him up 1st and goal.
It would have, but here's what I want to focus on. 2 things. One, Khalil's run, but it's also Giovanni. Watch him here as he pulls around. He's going to get a great kick-out block. That's really what sets up this run. Does a great job of getting around them. Boom, right on the inside. Khalil's able to cut it outside. Now, you can't have, that's exactly where the hold handed, right at the end of the play there. Brought him back. They ended up converting it to a 1st down, but that's not what you want to see.
The drive stalled, and it was Zavada again, and that was huge. This drive took 6 minutes and 32 seconds off the clock. Zavada's field goal made it a 2-score game. So Minnesota down 10. They go on a desperation drive, and it took them some time. They got it down the field, but let's go to Jansen Vision one more time.
Here's a twist that I want to show. I talked about the run-stopping ability of Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. Now we're going to talk about a guy that right here, this is Kenneth Grant. He's going to come over here. His goal is not to get to the quarterback. His whole goal is to take this center and put him in this guard so that Mason Graham can come around, and he's going to come around. The quarterback just gets the ball off, but he comes around, and that is striking fear into quarterbacks right under the chin strap.
Minnesota did finish that drive in the end zone to make it 27-24. Wolverines recover the onside kick after a penalty, and Michigan improves to 4-1 and keeps the Little Brown Jug. So there's that, but lots to work on.
There is a lot to work on, but you talk about playmakers. We saw Jair Hill make a play defensively. We saw, Khalil Mullings, again, 4th down in the 1st half, touchdown run. He's the guy that you trust, even on an onside kick, to have the ball in his hands.
Hausman also was huge in the second half of this game. We'll go inside the Michigan locker room and hear from players, and also Sharon Moore coming up on Inside Michigan Football.
It doesn't always look as pretty as we want it, but at the end of the day, we got the job done. Came out with a dub, so that was really our goal coming into it. But you're always going to get in dogfights at some point in the season, so I think it's good to happen pretty early.
Yeah, that's what we work all week for. We only have one goal in mind when we start the week and end the week. We just want to come out 1-0, so we accomplished that today.
Winning in this league is not easy, so we take the win. We respect the win, but we're obviously not we're not happy how the way we won, so we'll always take the win.
It's always great to get a win, but we definitely want to be able to get the win in a better fashion. Today it just felt like we didn't necessarily finish the game off the way we should have and the way we're capable of and the standard that we hold ourselves to. So we have to continue to strain to do that.
Time for our Alro Steel Man of the Week. Here's Ed Kongursky.
Ernest Hausman wreaked havoc on the Minnesota offense. The junior linebacker added to his team-leading tackle total with 9 solos, his Michigan career best. In his 2nd year with the program, Hausman has clearly settled in as an impact player.
But the tackles don't come without everybody else doing the job in the field. So I'm very fortunate with the guys have around us, the coaching staff and the defense, put in your position to make plays. So I just got to know, when you have that, when that position to make the play, you got to make the play.
His effort, part of an overall defensive performance that chalked up 9 tackles for loss, 5 of those sacks. Michigan's defense held Minnesota to 58 yards on the ground, lowering their season average per game to a meager 72.
All the guys we have on the edge, all the guys we have inside, we can just rotate guys. Obviously, we're all playing more snaps than we're used to, but that's just how it's going to be at the end of the day. But it's great to have everyone playing at the same level and being able to get the job done.
Michigan brings a blitz, stepping up, nowhere to go, and he's dragged down from behind.
With standard we play at Michigan, we want to be dominant no matter what quarter, no matter what half, no matter who's in the game. So, we're just not happy with the way we finished. We felt like, we kind of just, we didn't execute the way we should have executed in the second half.
Offensively, the Wolverines started and ended strong. They began the game with a 79-yard touchdown drive and closed it with a 14-play drive that led to a field goal, reestablishing their double-digit lead.
Starting fast is huge for us, and I feel like this week, last week, we were able to start pretty fast and get going, and it's huge and it's great and it has everyone hype and the momentum going, and football is such a momentum-based game. It's huge to be able to strike first and get that first blood. But at the end of the day, it's also about sustaining it, and I feel like that's our biggest focus going into this next week.
It's Orji looking to throw out of the backfield. He's got Tyler Morris to the pylon, diving. Is he in, or are they going to rule him out?
I just snuck behind the line, and as I was coming through, I could see everybody's back was turned, so I knew that I was probably getting the ball on that, and as soon as I got it, I just tried to shoot up the sideline and get to the end zone. Definitely felt good, just getting into the end zone finally. And I'm looking forward to making more plays.
Back to pass, steps up in the pocket, fires. He's got his man at the 50 on a crossing route and ridden out of bounds. Snap, handoff, Mullins up the middle, first down, 35, and drags a tackler down to the 30. Big run there to move the chains.
It's great that we were able to go down and execute enough to get a field goal. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't have even put ourselves in that situation. We want to strain to put teams away in that third quarter and just continue to grow our lead. So it was great to when our backs were against the wall again, we were able to execute, and that's great to see. But again, we don't want to put ourselves in that situation.
It's super important to be able to learn from a victory. That's the best time to learn. It's a lot better than learning from a loss. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't say that we're not happy. I think that we're extremely happy. Like I said, that's the only goal that we had going into the week. But we're definitely not content. We're definitely not satisfied with the way that we played. It wasn't up to the standard of Michigan football toward the end.
Yeah, the guys are definitely anxious to learn and get better from this one. Stick around. John Jansen chats with head coach Sharon Moore. For Inside Michigan Football, I'm Ed Kingersky.
Our conversation with the coach is brought to you by Meyer.
And Coach, a win's a win. What was the message to the team after the game?
Yeah, just told them that we won, but can't say, happy about the win and the way we won, especially the end of the second half and how we finished. It wasn't to our standard. We played well in the first half, and we just got to continue to get better.
What was different in the second half than in the first?
Yeah, the offense had the long drive to start the half, and thought we had some momentum going. Defense stopped them, but then we threw the pick, and that kind of the momentum kind of swung back in their favor, and they continued to ride it, and we just couldn't take advantage of it.
The interception, what happened on that play?
Yeah, just misread. It's got to go. We had Donald down the sideline, and misread, kind of forced it to Colston, and guy made a really good play.
Some of the positives of this game, you had 5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. What did you see from the defense?
Yeah, I thought the first half the defense was dominant. We went back and watched the long catch, and it was actually a fumbled catch, so I wish we would have got that reviewed. But first half really well. Second half, we kind of put them in some bad positions. Overall, good, not great defensively, but they had 5 sacks. It was in the backfield a lot of tackles for loss. But we got to finish better.
We did have a block punt. How big was that, especially in the first half, to give you guys a short field?
I mean, it was huge. You could say it won you the game, and to get that field position and go score was great, but we just got to sustain drives on offense.
When it came down to it, your team was able to come away with the win. What did you see from the guys on the sidelines, from the guys that were on the field that made you believe, hey, this was actually going to be a win?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys never flinch, and that's a credit to the players, credit to the team, credit to the coaches, but there's a lot of little details that we got to clean up.
Coach, thanks.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So sometimes you need a game like this to learn some lessons, and there's some stuff here. The head coach was very measured in his comments.
He was. I mean, you got to play 4 quarters. He talked about what the message to the team, and it was, hey, you can have a lot of great things, but if you turn the ball over, if you have a lack of awareness of what's going on, it can cost you.
So a trip to Washington is ahead, and offensively, you can see them trying to get things going in the passing game, but they're going to have find a way to burn some teams if they gang up on the run.
They are, and we saw Colston and Donovan, on the interception. They were open, so at least there's that threat. I like the fact that they did take some shots downfield. Now it's a matter of when Alex Orji goes back and looks at that, he's going to see it right away. I'm sure he knows it before he even left the field. If he's on the money, that's a big-time play.
Keep the main thing, though.
Yep, that's the win.
That's winning the game. We'll have more here on Inside Michigan Football coming up. Inside Michigan Football is brought to you by Meyer, presenting sponsor of the 2024 Michigan football season and proud sponsor of thousands of local sports teams across the Midwest. All right, next week, we'll be recapping a game in Seattle against Washington, a Big Ten game. These teams have changed a lot since they met for the national championship.
Yeah, new coach, a lot of new players. Some of those guys are playing on Sundays, but a lot of them left. And this is a team coached by Jed Fish they're going to be disciplined. They're going to be fired up after losing the Rutgers.
They're 3-2 on the year. If Michigan can find a way to go to Seattle and get a win, going into the bye week, that's a lot of time to try and sort out some of the kinks right now.
Well, it's sort out a lot of kinks, but it's also, we saw some guys limping around. and we know that Colston Loveland's been banged up. It's time to get him healthy as well.
All right, we'll recap that game against the Huskies next week here on Inside Michigan Football. So long. Back to pass, Brosmore. Here comes the rush, and he gets swarmed under.
Mason Graham again.